Shadowdark RPG is insanely good. That was the title of my previous video on Shadowdark RPG. And although I got attacked for it on different social media channels, I still stand by that title. So this is my second part of my review of Shadowdark RPG, where I go deeper in some parts of the RPG that I really like and one or two things that I like a little bit less. Hi there, fellow roleplayers and game masters. If you are the kind of person that just goes around hating on stuff for the sake of hating on stuff, fuck you. I don't need you. I don't need your opinion. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a rat's ass about your opinion. Stay away from my comment section. Stay away from me on Twitter. Stay away from my peers, my fellow YouTubers, Kelsey, the designer of Shadowdark RPG. Stay away from them and leave them the fuck alone. Yes, I'm that serious. We've been attacked several times for this Shadowdark RPG thing because it is immensely popular, rightfully so to my opinion. It is not perfect. If you have constructive criticism for me as a YouTuber, for Kelsey as a designer, for her, the way she writes, the way she designs her stuff, just constructive criticism, please, I welcome it. Put it in my comment section, put it on Twitter, overwhelm me with it because it really makes everything and everybody better. Criticism is a good thing, but if you're the kind of hater that just goes around hating on people, just... Now, when I say things, little disclaimer, when I say things like, this feels fresh for me, and this feels new for me, and I think this is original, yes, I've used that word original, I don't mean it has never been used before in the history of tabletop RPGs. I am not a journalist. I do not know every tabletop RPG. I don't know all the rules. Heck, I have friends who know the rules of 5th edition better than me, and I've been playing it for 20 years, and they've only been playing it for a few years. I'm not a rules-heavy type of guy. I don't know everything. I review everything from a standpoint of a guy on the internet, me, who sits in front of a camera with a freaking microphone, telling you what I think about products. That's what I do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So when I see rules and when I see stuff that feel fresh for me, I see them, they feel fresh for me as a mainly 5th edition player. I compare it to like a brand new car that still has an internal combustion engine. The internal combustion engine, say a V8, is not a new thing. Wheels are not new, brakes are not new. Everything in that car has been done before, but it's often the combination of all of those pieces that make something feel fresh and make a good car a good car. The way it is put together, the way it drives, the way everything works simultaneously, and that is what Shadowdark RPG is for me. It is a bunch of rules that have been done before, yes, like most of them, all put together into an insanely good tabletop RPG. Now, what I want to do with this video is basically it is my second part of the review of Shadowdark RPG, and I want to start off by going over a few negatives, a few things that I found that I don't find that interesting or that good design-wise. But also I want to talk about a few things from the comment section, questions you guys had, and just go a little bit deeper in the other stuff that I didn't cover in my first video. To kind of summarize that 3-minute rant from before, my channel is all about positivity, and I featured things on my channel that I think are worth your time and money, and Shadowdark RPG is one of those things. But I want to start off by something, I've been reading more through it, I've been flipping through it, I've been almost reading it cover to cover. I really like it. It is an insanely good RPG to my opinion, but it has something that just doesn't work for me in the sense of, in the spirit of this RPG, and that is the resting mechanic. The resting mechanic is almost identical to 5th edition. As a matter of fact, it is just identical to 5th edition. Each stressful interruption of a rest requires an affected character to make a DC 12 Constitution check. On a failure, they do use their ration, but they gain no benefit. But other than that, it's just 5th edition resting. Now, Shadowdark, when I read through it, it is a really low hit points, high mortality, high risk, high reward kind of RPG, dark, grim, dungeon crawling, like adventurers who really put their life on the line in order to find that treasure or find them, I don't know, the person they're looking for or do the quest. And this resting mechanic just feels too, I don't know, resting from... I've always found it a bit too arcadey to just being slapped around with a freaking sword. You know, with your guts and you're in your chest and you almost lost limb and you're completely battered to almost near death, right? And then you just go to bed in a dungeon and you wake up and you're fine. Your hit points are restored, your spells are restored, whatever. Everything is restored from one rest. And it always felt a bit arcadey for me, but for 5th edition it works because 5th edition for me is arcadey. It is there's a lot of power for the players in 5th edition. There's a lot of high fantasy stuff going on in 5th edition, but in the spirit of Shadowdark, I cannot agree with this resting mechanic. I would have loved some sort of just some sort of mechanic that you need to spend hit die or something when you rest, or you need to make a constitution saving throw if you're resting in a dungeon just to see if you are even be able to rest. Of course, you can add all of this yourself, no problem. But I would have liked to see it in like this as a standard, because just for the spirit of Shadowdark, it is Shadowdark. Now they go up, she talks about danger level, which kind of adds to it, because she really says, like, if you're in a dungeon or if you're somewhere in a forest, make sure to check every 3, 2, or every hour for a random encounter. Of course, when that happens, players need to make a DC 12 Constitution check in order to actually rest. So there is kind of that, where the chances of having a random encounter are pretty high, but just being completely rested after being almost slapped to near death by a mace, or being all burnt by a freaking fireball, and then the next day you stand up like nothing happened. It's just something that doesn't work and sit right with me in the spirit of this RPG. That rhymed. I really love one-action RPGs. Now, I discovered this only a while ago when I was reading the Cypher system by Monty Cook Games, that there's actually RPGs out there that only offer a player one action. Now, as a player, I know some people are on the fence about that, like, oh, only one action, and action economy is kind of a thing in 5th edition, where people try to make like these genius combinations to be able to do like 16 actions and 25 bonus actions and 16 different things during a bonus action, and then trade in their speed in order to do other weird stuff. But with this, it's more down to earth. You do an action, and the thing that I like about it is when you roll initiative, you have 2 people that can act, you have the monster, then 2 more people that can act, and it really makes a game, it really speeds up a game and invites this narrative driven kind of gameplay, because you as a game master, you can really go about like, it's your turn, what do you do? Boom, you do that. Okay, it's your turn. What do you do? Bang, you do that. Your turn. What do you do? Bang, you do that. And I really like that it's just an action, whatever you want to do. For example, in combat, you can do combat turns, a melee attack, or a range attack, or you can cast a spell, or you can improvise an improvised attack, or you can multi-task. And this is something they add to it, which I really like. Now, even if you only have one action, doesn't mean you cannot like kind of multitask. Characters can do small parallel tasks on their turns, such as standing up, speaking, activating a magic item, or quaffing a potion. This doesn't typically use their action, and I really like this little bit of text being in there, because this really says, and I think she should add the line to this, it is at the Dungeon Master's discretion, because some potions might be like really, really filthy to drink, and you need an action, or they're like this big and you need an action to drink that, while other potions might be like this big, just like a little flasky thing, which one might be an improvised action, a multitask action, and one might be a full action. Same thing with activating a magic item. Some might need like some tinkering, and you as a DM or a GM, sorry, you can say like, oh no, oh, you want to activate that magic item? Sure, you can, but it will take your full action to do that, because it's kind of a big thing to do. The same with like pulling a lever. You can have like a really easy lever to pull, which doesn't take your action. You attack a person and then you pull a lever, or you attack a person and then there's this lever that needs your entire weight in order to be able to pull it. Those things are different things. So I think Kelsey should really add something like it's at the game master's discretion to kind of decide what takes an action and what doesn't take an action. Because if you want to go old school RPG, for me personally, I think it's always a good idea to kind of add those sentences that kind of say, ask your game master, because they will tell you what you can and cannot do, because they're kind of the boss, because they make up the rules of like the signs, the physical rules of the world you are playing in. So this I want to just quickly talk about, since a lot of people found it necessary to get really pissed off at me because I don't like the word thief for a class. And there were people like stating that it has been a thief when it was old school D&D and back in earlier editions and other RPGs. It has always been a thief, and there's video games where it has been thief. Well, I do realize that, and I know that, and I have played a thief back in the days when it was still called a thief. But that does not mean I like it, and it also doesn't mean I need to like it. For me, it has always been a wrong class descriptor, class name for me. Just quickly, I just think like a fighter, for example, just says you fight. What you do with it is your own decision. I don't know, a wizard is somebody who can cast arcane spells. A priest is somebody who worships the gods and has divine powers, all of that stuff. But a thief just says you steal stuff, which could be really cool for the character or the campaign you are going for. But for some people who want to play it differently, I just think it's a bit unnecessary to call it thief. And I would love for it to change to, like, I don't know, somebody pointed out in my comment section, specialist or something like that, which I like, but I don't love, but I kind of like it more, specialist, because they are really good at doing like specialist stuff. And I don't like the thief class name. I've never liked it in early editions ever since I'm playing 5th edition. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons, been playing RPGs. Don't like the thief class name, and that's just, yeah, I just don't like it. Somebody in the comment section posed the question if Shadowdark RPG offers, does Shadow RPG give me tools to run a campaign? And the question is short, yes. So it doesn't offer, at least this book doesn't offer adventures, pre-written adventures and stuff like that. It offers a lot of tools for you as a game master to use in order to create your games, in order to create your campaigns, and there's a lot of them. First of all, there is the entire game master section that has a lot of cool stuff going for it. There is, they talk about there is an entire random encounter thing, and there's a lot of these. There's like the most I've ever seen is for the Arctic, High District, Jungle, Mountain, Ocean, even like the University District, Tavern, Swamp, all of that stuff. So if you are playing a game, if you're running a story and your players end up in the mountainous area, you just click the right thing here and you just go to that random encounter table that you can just roll a die, and you have a bunch of random encounters. There's a bunch of treasure in here, magic items, weapons, all of that stuff. And there's even a monster generator where you roll a die and then see like some combinations of what a monster can do. There is even, I don't know, there's just so much stuff in here. Let me just click something. For example, there is where is it? I lost it. There is a section called Adventures. Right here, there is a section called Adventures, and although it doesn't offer like pre-written adventures, it offers you, first of all, a generator for your adventure. So you could roll a d20, so you can get all kinds of combinations like defeat the thief of the dwarven lord, pacify the spirit, stalking the wastes. So all of that stuff you can just roll and see how you want to go from there. There is a site name generator. There's NPCs that you can randomly generate. There's all of that stuff, NPC names. There are maps, which aren't maps, but are, if you are running like a random dungeon, you're doing a dungeon crawl, you can just randomly roll each room what it does, what its function is, what kind of treasure is in it. Is there a major hazard? Is there a minor hazard? Is there a solo monster, which is basically a boss fight? There's same thing for settlement maps, so you get all that stuff. So you roll a die, you get a 6, you roll, you get a 3, you get a town, then you roll a few districts. Let's say it is a town consisting of 4 districts. You roll the die 4 times, they go into a random district, you roll 4, they go into the market. So all of that stuff, the alignment of the city, the slums, the low district, artisan district, all of that things. The same thing for taverns, the same thing for shops, same thing. Yeah, it's just, there is a lot of it, a lot of stuff going on. I just want to quickly show this because otherwise this video will get too long again, which would be the second time that this happens. Because my first video was like half an hour long or something, and I didn't even cover like half of the book. So there's a monster generator here, right? So which you can do an ooze who has a blinding aura and has a weakness against salt. So that's how you can create your games and create your campaigns. And I think a game like Shadowdark invites more the game master being part of the like being a player themselves, where 5th edition people often like prepare a lot and have like these cities built out and written out and systems and hierarchies and political systems worked out before they even sit at the table. I think for a Shadowdark game, it's really cool to just like do random stuff, and for you as a dungeon master, consider it a game for you to come up with random things and go from there, because that can be really, really fun. Carousing, is that the right word? When you return from the Shadowdark, basically from adventuring, you can carouse to celebrate your heroic exploits. To carouse, each participant pitches in for the cost of the event. Then each participant rolls a 1d8 plus the event's bonus to determine their own outcome. I really like this system so much that I want to use my dice to kind of test it. So let's say we have a party of 4 people, and we come back from adventure and we would really like to celebrate. There is this carousing event random table. Let's say we chip in, I don't know, let's say we chip in 600 gold pieces just to keep it in the middle. A 3-day voyage into the finest food, drink, and gambling you can find. So 3-day bar, tavern, casino crawl, which gives a bonus of +3. Let's say we do that, right? So when we do that, every, let's say I'm a fighter, let's say I'm average Bob, the fighter, I've been on an adventure, I came back, put in 200 gold pieces just to have that 3-day drinking and eating bonanza or whatever. So you roll a you roll a d8 plus your modifier, so +3. So for me that would be a d8 +3. So I rolled an 8. All right, an 8 +3 is 1, 2, 3. You perform. I have to look here. You performed a humiliating prank on a despised and corrupt merchant. You gain 5 experience points and an ally in the City Watch. That's cool. I think that's so cool. It is such a small thing, and this is one of those things that I really want to add to my own games. Now, I don't know how I would use it with like the experience points. I need to translate it into like 5th edition for my players who want to do that. But for example, I can give them other benefits or whatever. But with the experience points, I'm using milestones in my game, so it's a bit different to do that. But like you gain an ally in the City Watch, all of that stuff is really cool, and all the players get to roll. Everybody who chipped in here gets to roll on this table. I really like that. So let's roll another d8 just to see what my wizard friend does. Oh, that's another 8. That's another 8. Okay, my die is weighted. That's a 1 +3. 1, 2, 3. You hazily remember donating 10% of your total wealth to a priest. You gain 3 experience points and a priest ally. I love that. I love that. There's so many little tools for a game master to use because they have that ally, and every now and then they can pop up, heal the party, or help the party in other ways. I really like the simplicity of the system, but also just having it in a game. I think it's really cool to like change the atmosphere, change the theme from dark dungeon crawl adventure to partying and messing up and not remembering the next day. And that is kind of all I wanted to talk about for Shadowdark RPG in this part 2 of my review video for the insanely good still RPG. Now, it's always my mission to kind of give you some stuff that I really like about it, but I can't talk about everything. There's a lot of more stuff in there. There's some tiny things that I like a little bit less, and there's some tiny things that I like really, really a lot, but I would be making 5 1-hour-long videos if I do that. It's just a great RPG. There's a lot of content. It's really the value is really there, but I really want to kind of play test it in like a 1-shot or a 2 or 3-shot, like a short adventure kind of thing, to really get an opinion on. Maybe I find some other stuff that I liked when I read it, and then I didn't like that much when we played it. I just really like the simplicity of it. I like the straightforwardness of it. I like that it's somewhere in between the old school RPGs and 5th edition. It is like in this limbo in between these two things, which I actually like, because it gives you that feeling of driving an old car, but it gives you those modern tools in order to drive that old car in modern day traffic. That's how I see it, and until next video, bye bye.